Hello and welcome to the Sonic Cartoon War Podcast. This is the GigaBoots Podcast Network's adventure into comparing Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons, such as Sonic Underground, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic X, and SATAM. In this podcast series, we're really going to find out what we think about these Sonic cartoons by watching the first episode, the worst episode, and the best episode as rated by IMDb. These are people you can trust.
I doubt that.
I have with me Bob Video Games,
What the hell did I just watch?
Dr. Aggro,
I got nothing for you, man.
and Chris Wolfhard.
A psychic attack.
This time we watch Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Underground. If you have no idea why I'm losing it, it's because you have not watched these two. You have not watched them in a capacity, a quantity that would put you in my mental state, our mental state. And you definitely have not downed all 8 episodes we watched in one day. Because why would you do that? Anyways, for the episodes we watched for Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, we watched the first episode, which is Super Special Sonic Search and Smash Squad. The worst episode, which is Slow Going, with a 5.4 out of 10. And the best episode, according to IMDb, Robo Ninjas.
You know, I actually really appreciate that because it felt like actually getting a ranking from children back in 1992.
It did somehow.
Uh-huh.
Where it's like, oh, well, this episode has ninjas. Obviously, it's the best one.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I like it because the wise sage says weird stuff I don't understand. Very funny.
Very funny.
Let's just talk about these episodes kind of vaguely. Just go over the first episode's a Looney Tune. It's just Looney Tunes. They try to frame it as, hey, Sonic the Hedgehog is going to tell the story of how Grounder and Scratch met him. And it does that some of the time.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it drops that halfway through the episode, and you just have to deal with that.
And it's just Sonic thwarting these two over and over, and Robotnik getting really mad and having a giant ass. Also, he clones a chicken into a drill bot because the chicken
drill
threw
thing. I don't really know how that worked.
So yeah, it's according to IMDb, a 7.6 out of 10. Audience, I implore you to see what that means for it compared to Breaking Bad episodes. I have a couple different times gone, I would like to watch all of the Sonic cartoons ever. I should start with Adventures of, and we will start at the beginning. So I've seen this like probably 4 times. Oh my God, it is an incoherent mess. It is a bizarre creature. It feels like it came... This is a product that should have been a part of that glut of cartoons they made to air on television and chock full of ads like the Flintstones selling you cigarettes and all sorts of weird shit back in the 70s or maybe late 70s. Why is this in 1990? What is going on?
Yeah, because this is airing around the same time as SATAM, right?
Yeah,
because that's why I always felt like I accidentally watched this a few times. Like, why is this Sonic cartoon in an incoherent mess that sucks? And this is what I thought at like 8 years old.
Yeah, no, I used to hate this show because every time it was on, I was like, this isn't the right one. What the fuck is this?
Yeah,
They started airing in the same month.
Wow. So we'll come back to this later with Sega of America really needed Sonic/Sega to matter, so they maybe greenlighted a little bit too much Sonic cartoon.
Right.
To the wrong people, maybe. We'll probably come back to that at least one more time. Maybe, hopefully only one more time. I genuinely, this first episode, absolute mess. It just seems like some random sketch, like it's Looney Tunes sketches have been wrapped around, like it's Roadrunner, right?
Yeah, it's Roadrunner, but
Roadrunner.
we just scraped off the serial numbers and put it out.
And it's a Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon now.
And it looks terrible. Like Roadrunner looks much better, of course.
Yeah, you really got to get into that exact...
Yeah, this cartoon does look... This does look pretty bad.
And you have to get into the exact glut I was talking about for Looney Tunes to look as bad as this. Not worse,
right?
But as bad.
And then every design like looks incorrect. Sonic does not look right. Tails does not look right. No. They both have bizarre legs.
Yeah, this Sonic, I don't know. There's something about him I kind of vibe with, not as Sonic, as like this weird cryptid who's kind of stealing Sonic's temperament and appearance.
Yeah, like watching this all these years later, I was surprised to find that sense of sinister chaos barely bound within the ability of a human to parse it is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, all of the landscapes in this show are completely incoherent. Sonic as a character seems like he's Mr. Mxyzptlk pretending to be Sonic.
Yes.
He does have real Batmite energy.
And then Robotnik rips off his outfit. It was Superman the whole time. He tricked Mr. Mxyzptlk into being in a bad show.
Yeah, and like I was saying, even between cuts, it feels like the entire background has changed every time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you will not see consistency between even two shots.
And that's actually one of those things they do in that glut of, like, Looney Tunes, where they just give them no money to make the whole animated show.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in those, it would be like, here's the very generic background of the desert or the woods with the same 5 watercolor trees behind us. This is just like another better cartoon would do an episode where they're leaning into a meta bit about how cartoons can be weird and chaotic. This is that episode of Ed, Edd and Eddy that just went too far and broke.
Uh-huh.
Why does Robotnik's statue have 2 mustaches?
I don't know
He's double Hitler.
Double Hitler? Oh, my God. I genuinely don't know what's up with that. It just looks weird. See, that's the thing that actually kind of was flooring to me when we moved to what IMDb says is the worst episode. Slow going. That is also an episode I've seen numerous times. I'm scared of how much of the show I've seen.
Yeah, I feel like I probably saw the entire run.
Yeah, that's frightening.
So this is the episode with a sloth family, so all the jokes are very slow. And Sonic, as we all know, is very fast. And weirdly enough, of the entire sloth family, the only one who really talks or is important is Rocket, the youngest one. And they keep repeating the joke of watch him go really fast and then he drops off the tree.
Mm-hmm. Solid joke for this show, honestly.
Honestly, it's interesting to put any sanity or structure into an episode of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
So the obvious thing you would think watching this from the title of this episode is something will happen to Sonic and he will become slow and have to deal with that. It takes, I think, 13 minutes for that to happen in a 20-minute long show. I was getting scared that it just wouldn't.
Yeah, they hit the slow rate and it just doesn't, they don't shoot Sonic. They fail.
Yeah, like they never successfully shoot Sonic.
You're like, oh, this episode's so obvious. And 12 and a half minutes in, you are sweating. You're like, if the writers couldn't think of this one obvious idea. When they do finally shoot him with the slow ray, that is the funniest this show ever was out of all the episodes we watched, because they're just torturing Sonic. I'm surprised they honestly didn't just open the door repeatedly to the prison cell he's in. It's like, come on, run out. And then he just moves really slowly over the course of 10 seconds, and then they calmly close it. Because they do that to him constantly.
Like, this was the best episode. This also had the repeating joke of they'd slow down Robotnik because he was going to get angry at them for doing it once, so they kept doing it.
And his pitch shifting was like really down.
Yeah, I'll be back in an hour.
It was honestly my favorite episode out of the 3 of these. I did enjoy the structure. Rocket leaves an impression on Kid Me. And I honestly, them torturing Sonic because he's slow and he can't get out is really, really funny to me. The rest of the episode's kind of, I don't know that there's really much else to hold on to. There was a weird bit where Sonic inflated a school out of a balloon and then the bad guys inflated a school out of a balloon and a line of children, right?
Yeah, was that this episode? That was the first
episode. Was this episode.
Because they also had a part where they can just do that, so they inflated their hand and they became a pretty lady.
Oh, the pretty lady forming out of Scratch's hand is in the first episode. They want you to know that's a power.
The pumpkin.
They need you to the fucking pumpkin. They need you to know that's possible from Frame 1.
Yeah, the power set these guys have is bizarre.
I know. They're
cartoon characters. All characters have the same powers. Sonic also has that sort of powers, like how he can have a disguise at any time.
That is true. There's definitely a a little bit of a power gap between I have a disguise out of nowhere and I've created life from my arm and it is a sexy woman you want to have sex with, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right?
A little bit of a power gap.
Like, what the fuck? This is a show with absolutely zero restraint.
Yeah.
And then we got to what IMDb assured me was the best episode of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog Robo Ninjas.
You didn't expect it to be 20 minutes of all these white guys doing such things as referring to karate as chop sake.
And speaking very, very...
These
Very bad accents,
Yes.
and maybe referring to their special moves as like egg foo young.
Yeah, these dudes were practically playing Lifeline on the PS2 professionally well with the voices they were using.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
maybe using a lot of Chinese stereotypes to refer to a character that's a ninja master.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Endlessly.
because in 1993, which I think was maybe a little bit too late to believe that China and Japan were the exact same thing.
I think everyone had a collective, like, what if we lied to kids and portrayed Japan and China as the exact same thing? We also had very wise sayings.
Oh, my God.
Such as surprises along the path of life are like dirty socks in the laundry of barefoot cousins.
Okay.
Mildly racist nonsense or Tool lyrics. You be the judge.
It really took me out how they keep going, the Scratch and Grounder got ninja training from the machine and they're so much more competent now, but they're not at all.
At all.
Like, everything goes exactly the same, but Sonic just says afterwards they were.
Yeah. Okay, you guys were really good. I was scared. And it's like, Sonic, I know you're saying that to make him feel better. He's like, luckily you're stupid again. And I'm like, okay, then you just lied to be mean. So we got to talk about it. So the main dude, it's, I believe it's pronounced, but once again, who cares? Kwai Chai Crane. He's some wise dude who walks down the road and they're like, how'd you beat us up? And he's like, martial arts. And they're like, oh my God, we're going to suck his brain out and get his martial arts. Later in the episode, you're introduced to his pupil, Grasshopper, which is a nightmare tier grasshopper design.
It is, yes, but that is almost funny.
No, you know what's really funny? When they have shots he's edited to. They literally did a double exposure, putting him in the room as the main character. So I'm like,
Yeah.
was the grasshopper a late addition to the script?
I guess.
But yes, the pupil being a grasshopper. That's also a pretty functional joke, just like that one functional joke we got in the sloth episodes.
Mm-hmm.
They get one.
Yeah.
Everybody gets one.
So outside of his edited in 2 scenes, I think Grasshopper has maybe like 2 scenes he's clearly animated as a part of, and the episode ends. And I'm like, what happened?
The best episode of The Adventures of Sonic is what happened.
I guess so, according to IMDb. Overall, this was a nightmare to watch. Every waking moment was, what are you doing? Is that your hand's a woman now? Please don't copulate with Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's like the world's most horrifying version of Midori Days.
Oh, God. Where she's the same size.
Right?
Yeah.
Now it's a parasite, Dojin. Seriously, all you need to do is swap out the soundtrack and the sound effects, and this is a horror cartoon.
Yes. No, it's true.
There was one other joke I enjoyed in the worst episode, allegedly, by IMDb, where Tails is writing down something, and, like, taking notes for Sonic, and then it just scribbles. And he's like, I'm 4.5 years old. I don't know how to write.
Yeah, that was really good. He's like,
That was pretty
he's trying
good.
to repair the house, and Sonic's like, Tails, write this down. And he boosts all over it, and then he's like, okay. And then Tails hands him the paper. It's just got scribbles. So he goes, I'm only 4.5 years old. I don't know how to write. I was like, yep, that is the funniest joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
More jokes should have been that, frankly.
Yeah, the last episode has some good, decent jokes. The effort feels like it was made there, and maybe there wasn't any time left for anything else.
I can't imagine watching. Can you imagine the podcast series that's us watching all of this?
No, I would lose my mind.
I
There's
would-
nothing to talk about. We'd have to watch it all and do one podcast episode about it.
Right? And that's almost the experience of what we're saying right now.
Yeah, except
It's
for
true.
we would have more hyper-specific things to pull out. Like,
Anecdotes, yeah.
hey, remember that time that episode ended abruptly because it was clear they were going to get real racist?
And then the Sonic Says part was clearly cut short.
Oh, God, the Sonic Says stuff. I went into each of these episodes going, please don't be the molestation episode.
Right?
Oh my God.
Like, are we going to pull the golden ticket?
I was like...
We almost probably should have just looked up which one that was and
Yes,
watched it.
and then Spiff, being in the room while Bob and I are watching it, wouldn't have known that we literally handpicked it.
Uh-huh.
He's like, wait, what the fuck? Meanwhile, this one was like, don't let Tails trick you into running into traffic.
He'll do that. He's 4.5 years old.
He'll kill you, and he won't feel anything.
Only call 911 in a real emergency. Don't play in traffic.
Real quick, let's go back to that first one. Don't call 911 when you're unless you're in a real emergency. He was about to get ganged up on by 7 people.
Yeah.
But he's a Chad. Like the whole point is like, we can't call 911. We're heroes.
Yeah. If you think you can take him, don't call the cops.
Yeah, what a fucking...
Yeah, maybe not the best moral.
For an authority figure to give you no, for general life advice, I'm pondering it now, actually. One moment. So it was that, the don't play in the street. What was the third one?
It was the one about, like, respect mentally slow people.
Oh my God, yes, because we have a slot episode.
It was...
And they're like, they're special, and all special people can contribute.
I think it was more generally everybody's different.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it
Has
was
their own
more, you
talents.
don't need... just because that guy walks slow and does things slowly doesn't mean they aren't capable. They have different strengths.
You would say possibly they were less physically inclined and thus maybe qualify as a disability. So Sonic the Hedgehog is like... one second. I'm trying to remember how the sloths helped in the Sonic Says. They did a thing, didn't they?
I think they taught Tails to do something slower.
Yeah, they were helpful, and then they were like, see, he's worth us respecting him as an individual. And I'm like, that's weird that you felt you had to say that, Sonic the Hedgehog. Look, at the end of the day, I'm just lucky we didn't catch that one. That Sonic Says.
Yeah.
It's been pasted enough online in the early internet. I don't need to run into it in the middle of watching these episodes.
I feel like if you had an AI write a cartoon, it would be pretty close to this.
Yeah, and sometimes it felt like if you had an AI animate a cartoon, it might be pretty close to this.
No, this looks too good for that.
It does.
God, I have vivid memories of begrudgingly returning the TV to this channel because nothing else better was on.
Yeah.
Isn't that always the worst feeling? I'm so glad kids don't have to grapple with that anymore. Most of the Scooby-Doo I've watched in my life has been because of that paradigm.
Yeah.
There was simply nothing good.
There isn't any shows where people are hitting each other. I guess I gotta watch Scooby-Doo.
Well, yeah, now they just grind out the Fortnite season pass, no matter how unfun it is.
Now they just watch Coco Melon.
So, gentlemen, we each need to score Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog on a whole point scale between 1 and 10.
Oh my God.
This is an important part of our journey here to articulate exactly how each of us feels about each of these shows. Okay, and I'll go ahead and start us off. This is a miserable show. It provides neuron activity, but in the most malevolent way possible. I don't enjoy dealing with it. It was pretty funny, though, dealing with Spiff. Coping with the fact the intro theme song is like 3 public domain songs shoved together at random.
Oh, God, yeah.
It is pretty funny. And it was funny watching someone come to terms with that freshly, because, of course, I knew that from my youth.
Yeah. No, that's the theme song of this show. Deal with it.
Yeah, this is really far down there. I'm gonna have to give it a 2 out of 10. I am not here to give every Sonic cartoon a really low score, but I am here to give this one a really low score. We're gonna go next to Bob.
It's complicated. If it's only these 3 episodes, Like if that's all I have to watch,
that's all you have to work with.
That's all I have to work with.
And they know that context.
Then I would give it a 3. But if, say, I had to watch this series, like if someone wanted to be like, oh yeah, go out and watch all of it. 1. But I'm gonna listen to this 3 though. I'm gonna give it that much power.
I like this because in my head, Bob, it's kind of like you were like, wait, no, I was cool with 1 potato stick. You want me to eat the whole can of potato sticks?
Right? I was like, no.
No, you don't get a meal. You have to eat this can of potato sticks, the whole thing. And let me be real. I'm making this joke. I would do it. I would do it every time. So
since it's just these 3 episodes we saw, it's a 3.
That's not fair. Bob's reviewing it based on how many episodes we saw. That means Underground's gonna get a real boost. Chris Wolfhard, what do you think?
This isn't funny, and it's not really interesting either.
Yeah.
No.
Like, it's just sort of chaotic nonsense. It's not as bad as the Captain In show, where it's just like, this is for the most derogatory, like adults who just think of children in the most derogatory ways, where it's like, we need portals constantly taking the characters to different places or they'll get bored. It isn't that.
It does feel like
it's
that same sort
that.
of like no respect for children at all. Like, yeah, we made something. It's for kids. It sucks, and we don't care.
Yes, it's a lot of that. So I'm gonna give this a 3.
Dr. Agro.
So it is no secret that I have a long-standing enmity for this show. But within the context of our current endeavor, I have to recognize that this show is it's silly, zany fluff, and that's what it's intended to be. It's a Looney Tunes yuck 'em up made by people who understand what those are, but not necessarily how they work.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what it's designed to be, even if it's not a good version of that. And with the knowledge that other things are going to be a part of this project, I am going to give it a 4. It's inoffensive. It's not worthwhile.
Well, that's delightful. That brings its average score to 3 and a total amount of points of 12 points. That's out of a possible 40. But we have to move on. We also watched Sonic Underground.
Man, so I feel, and this is probably true of all of us, we all knew that Sonic Underground existed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, only vaguely.
I knew of the basic conceit, and I had heard the theme song.
Mm-hmm. Those are both the same thing.
That's true. But I just had this feeling like this is a Sonic thing. It's a Sonic thing. It's a Sonic thing that I've never seen any actual Sonic fan talk about in a positive light. And no offense to you Super Sonic fans, some of y'all eat shit off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact I had never... And like I knew it had lore, so I was like, how
These
bad
bitches
could this
love
be?
lore. How are they
Right?
not talking this up constantly?
I was not prepared for how frankly horrifying Sonic Underground is.
So before we really get into it, let me describe what we watched this time. This got complicated because the original pilot for this was a 3-parter. So in essence, since it aired first, because it aired in November of 1998, we watched the 3-parter pilot. And then because, man, the numbers on this show don't go very high at all anywhere on IMDb, we then just watched the worst episode. So that's Beginnings, Getting to Know You, Harmony or Something. That's the 3-parter, which listed on some services as episode 26, 28, and 30, with respective scores of 7.1, 7.0, 6.6. Not that low of scores for this series, by the way. And then the worst episode, Come Out Wherever You Are, a 6.2 out of 10. And then Bob and I, for some reason, watched the end of the Knuckles 3-parter. I don't know why we did
I should have done that, damn it.
We saw that Knuckles was listed in one of those titles. Between those other episodes, it was like, Knuckles is in this show?
Yep, this is the first animated appearance of Knuckles. No, wait, I think the OVA was
Yeah,
sooner.
the OVA would have beaten it,
But
because
this is the first
19
American cartoon appearance of Knuckles.
Does he have the hat?
No, and he's weirdly bloated, like he ate way too much.
He looks like Snoopy.
He looks close. He literally taken your mind a spectrum.
Jesus.
On one end is Knuckles, and on the other end is Snoopy, and he's smack dab in the middle. It's real weird. Maybe some of our audience is unaware of the conceit of Sonic Underground. In Sonic Underground, Sonic is one of 3 Sonic babies, Sonic, Manic, and Sonia, that's the girl one, who have a prophecy wherewith they reunite with their mother, they will undo Robotnik's rule of Robotropolis. So, of course, the first thing the mother has to do is abandon her babies.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll
The
form
Oracle
the
said
Council
so.
of 4, which
Yes.
is really a term they keep using. They really love it.
They do.
Yep. That's when you know the kind of people that wrote this slop.
I wish they had gotten to put in all of their lore and hadn't just been pushed immediately down into a normal kids show. I wanted to see their legacy and all these fucking horrifying characters they came up with.
Oh yeah, they're terrible. I hate the monk the most. He's so hideous. He's like a weird Snoopy dog bugle style thing, right? But like beagle style thing. But he just has horrible sores all over his face and giant lips, and it's, oh my god. I'm like, please put the hood back up. This monk is horrible.
Yeah, and then we have characters like the Dingo, who looks like an evil Crash Bandicoot.
He does. He looks like Crash hit the roids real hard.
Yeah, and
I think there's a character in Crash that specifically looks like that guy.
Dingo
too,
Dial?
even.
yeah.
No, not Dingo Dial. Are we thinking of the big orange guy who's one of the 2 primary
Are you
minions?
Yes, we're talking about that guy. Are you talking about Crush Bandicoot?
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
One moment. What's Crush's design? Let me go look it up. Barely available anywhere. Oh, he never shipped a game. Oh, poor Crush. Gone too soon.
Oh, Tiny Tiger. That's who I'm thinking of.
There we go.
is
Yeah, the
Tiny
buff tiger dude.
The wolf minion. God, what is his name? Sneer, I think it is. His name is
Sleet.
Sleet. Yeah.
Sleet. First of all, unbelievably hideous. As all the characters. Second, his voice actor is
Maurice LaMarche.
Yes, who is doing like a slightly he's doing like a Kirk Douglas impression, like it's getting a little bit into the brain, but he's all like, yes, Dr. Robotnik, I'll work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, give me your wishbone. Like, it's literally that. And it's fucking insane because I don't even think that fits his design.
No, it really doesn't.
I don't get it. Oh, we didn't really cover it in the conceit part, but they're going to reunite. And until that day, they were given pendant necklaces that summon their, obviously they have these, musical instruments.
The thing that Sonic is
that are
known for, yes.
weapons.
That are weapons that can solve problems, and they play together in a band.
And every episode has to have a song.
Sonic plays the guitar, Sonia plays the keyboard? Keyboard, and Manic plays the drums, and all 3 are voiced by Urkel.
All
Even the
3 are
girl.
voiced by Jaleel White. Yep, even the girl. The girl is like voice changed with the chipette filter. It's scary. This show is scary. It's barely coherent, and every single thing in it is hideous. Sonic's adoptive parents get murdered basically on screen, and he runs back to find his home burning, and then screams no.
Yeah, it's a lot like that scene from A New Hope. It goes back and sees their skeletons almost.
Yep. The way that this series just steals shit from SATAM is strange. Like the fact their Robotnik is identical to SATAM Sonic, except uglier because everything in this show is hideous. And also, they have Sonic's uncle.
Yeah.
Yep. Uncle Chuck.
Oh, is he in SATAM too?
Yes.
Wow.
Except in SATAM, he is roboticized, I believe. Like
Yes.
he had a thing that freed him from that, but he is roboticized, and he is not in this. Because in this roboticizing is not a magic beam that turns you into a robot. It seems to be horribly invasive surgery to just put robot parts in you.
Okay, so one of the mysteries that presented itself in the intro is the orange dude turns into a motorcycle in one shot. And the episodes we watched did not really address that in the least. Not one part.
Touched on it, and it was horrifying.
That's right. He was like a brain jar thing
Yeah,
going on.
he was like
be dissected on a table, like being rebuilt. It was awful.
And that was in Come Out Wherever You Are, the episode about Sonya going to the debutante ball. I can't believe.
Yeah, that was sure past the point where this series has this bizarre plot element where there are evil nobles that sided with Robotnik.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mobius has some sort of Vichy government going on.
There's so much of this show that just feels like it is from a full decade before when it released.
Oh, 100%, because this thing, like the actual show, not just the pilot, aired in 1999. So imagine Sonic Adventure 1 is out in Japan, coming over to America soon. And this show's like, you want some Sonic lore, huh?
Yeah. Also, just the fact that the design ethos of the characters are like, here's one-off characters from the worst episodes of Goof Troop.
Yes.
Yeah, it is like Disney Afternoon ran out of money and taste.
This is the best way to think about it. Look at the show and think to yourself, this aired at the same time as SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Like, we looked up shows around 99. It was like, are you real?
It's so hideous. Like it's cheaply animated. That like I was streaming it on Paramount Plus, and that shit looked interlaced.
Apparently, they had to change their Sonic and friends, like Sonic and his other Sonics.
It's his siblings.
Yeah, his siblings to have 5 fingers instead of 4. So that was an animation thing near the end of production that made it look even worse.
Jesus.
Yeah, because the Yakuza thing, right?
That's what the people assume.
Say, okay.
But who knows if it's true?
Yeah, I like that Sonic at one point calls his siblings his sibs.
He's very cool.
90s.
He's very cool. At one point in this, he says, "Bummer mejores," and I went, why did he switch wholesale to Spanish?
So I really appreciate how that they have Sonic do the thing he does in SATAM, and to a lesser extent in Adventures, where he becomes the blue blur, as they say. But in this, he's not that fast when he's doing it, so he kind of comes off like he's a drunk driving Saiyan, like he's flying like in Dragon Ball Z, but he's drunk and just slowly swinging back and forth.
Yeah, it's pretty dire.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yep.
Hey, remember at the end of the 3-parter when they were off with the monks and stuff, and then the monk just looks at them and goes, "Many souls in Robotropolis have been lost."
Yeah.
Like, right now is the implication.
Right.
Because he sensed something. And it's like, did we just have a genocide off screen in a Sonic cartoon?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, even though that the 3-parter to let them set up lore, even that feels incoherent at times. Like, we're jumping between things so fast.
Dude, part 3 is completely incoherent.
Yeah.
Like, part 1 and 2, they seem to be following an arc of some sort. Part 3 is when it's like, wait, so they went there to rescue not their parents, but Trevor or whatever the fuck his name is, and then they just left him somewhere else to go to the ice mountain where the Oracle was,
right? Because the Oracle was allegedly
make eye contact with the Oracle, because the Oracle was gonna get jumped by Robotnik's troops, but then he doesn't, and they stop Robotnik's troops by going underground and starting to play instruments, which makes them find them. But that wasn't the intent. The intent was to have a musical number in this episode. Anyways, I love outsider art.
Oh my god.
That's definitely what this is.
It feels like it. More so than Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. This seems like a person who has no right being in this room, having bold visionary decisions. That's what that felt like.
I think it's crazy that they have like SATAM has Antoine Decoulé.
Yeah.
And this has fucking Bartleby.
Yeah,
who is the
Bartleby
same sort of
sucks.
character and is Sonya's fucking fiance.
Which, like, it's reinforced a lot. It's like, oh, they're still kids. They're still kids. Ah, they're still kids. Sonic, Manic, Sonya, they're still kids. But then immediately, she has a fiance.
I think they're teenagers.
Okay,
Yeah, they're teenagers in the show.
Well, then they're practically
once we get
adult.
past the once we get the initial
and then
past the initial bit.
Then Dingo, which reminder, that's the giant like dude that's like Tiny the Tiger from Crash Bandicoot. He's like, oh, she's so pretty, I'll do anything for her. And then there's a heartbeat sound anytime he's on screen for that part of the 3-parter.
Mm-hmm.
Well. Look, he's who's the guy who tell me about the rabbits?
Lenny.
Lenny. He's Lenny.
Speaking of which,
Which makes it good that she gets away from him.
Yes, it does. We will now address it in that episode, the Knuckles one, the third part of the Knuckles 3-parter. They apparently can just roboticize that dude whenever they want, and they turned him into a metal box on the spot.
Yeah, he can just transform into anything. It's bizarre.
And then they threw the Chaos Emerald inside of him for storage, and then he started melting. And then he became a 7-story tall fucking giant golem.
Yes. So earlier when I talked about having to review Adventures of in context, this is what I mean. This show is equally as nonsensical, but it's not supposed to be. This show has like a solid premise and a setup and what should be a series of rules that define a world.
Right?
But none of them are real because it was written by idiots.
Agro's just mad because these visionaries took their swipe at world building, and he doesn't approve of the world that they mostly build some of the time.
I don't. I don't even like what they were trying to do.
I'll be up front. I will betray myself right now before the score. I am absolutely here for this. This is the exact type of bad storytelling I'm way more interested in than Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. I was fascinated and compelled every episode to see more because at no point would a good writer write most of the things that happened.
Right. Like, it's so funny. It's like they need to reconnect with their mom so that they can form this collective that'll save the world, and their mom is always slightly off screen. It's like,
right,
that's really
she's got to
funny.
wait for the right time for the prophecy to be fulfilled because the Oracle is some asshole who's playing both sides.
yeah,
For one, he's never in danger.
no,
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I can't be harmed.
Robotnik does not have the juice to hurt this guy.
I'm invincible. I'm invincible God King.
Right? Also, the siblings never seem to be in danger from either of the SWAT bots that keep showing up over and over. I think there are just the two of them because it's always only ever two.
Yeah, it's only ever two. They come
They
in
just pull out
pairs.
their instruments and just wreck these things over and over. How are you guys a resistance movement running from Robotnik? How is he running this country?
it's so strange that it feels like the resistance is a thing that they wanted to be a lot more real, even in episode 1 than it ever is again. Because before Sonic becomes a teenager, even he's doing those bomb runs.
That's true.
He's got blood on his hands in episode 1, and it feels like we never see anything like that again.
Yeah, instead we're Sonya Manic stole an invitation to the debutante ball that Bartleby and Robotnik are hosting this year to give it to Sonya, and Sonya is so wrecked about this that she's very womanly about this girl. She's so girly. So they're like, okay, we need to find a way to get her into the debutante ball safely. What if it's a masquerade ball? Then Robotnik's like, Bartleby thinks that I won't notice that is fucking Sonya behind a mask. I'll show him. They take 10 steps in. Robotnik doesn't say anything, and then she goes, I'm Sonya. And I'm like, what am I watching? And believe it or not, shoved it right at the end of this episode is this whole arc of Sonya's the best pilot we have. She should pilot our escape. We found out in VR. So she's not just a woman, and we're sorry we wrote all that stuff. Is how it comes off.
Yeah, it's so weird because that's like the B plot to the weird, like, plane thing that's happening in that episode too. Like they had to shove these two together, and it didn't work at any point.
I swear to God, because you were, what was it on Wikipedia? There were 20 goddamn writers on the show. I swear to God, the first draft just has the debutante ball, and someone was like, "Please don't do my girl dirty like that. Please do not make her entire episode about the fucking ball. Have her do it cool." And they're like, I don't know. She pilots a fucking plane out.
This episode either answers or raises some very serious questions about sexual dimorphism amongst these hedgehogs.
Okay. Is this what you're pondering when you're watching Sonic Underground?
Because Sonic and Manic are circles.
Yes.
Yes.
And Sonia has a very humanoid figure. And I'm like, okay, we're doing, cheap cartoon stuff. I understand what's happening. And then Sonic and Manic put on the dresses. And they have the same shape. And now I'm wondering if those hedgehogs, their bodies are liquid and they just choose these molds to pour them into, because Sonia's the only one wearing clothes and she's wearing a full body suit.
Yeah, it was really weird. She has human legs even. Everyone else has the Sonic legs.
I feel bad. I didn't really pay attention to this part of it at all. I was too busy. They're all Jaleel White, but Sonia is Jaleel White pitch shifted upward.
Oh my God, I couldn't pay attention to anything else.
I kept making jokes about Sonic and Manic are like, "Hey, we did the mission. That's great." And Sonia's like, "Okay, you can take the dresses off now." And they both just go, "No." That's all I'm thinking about watching this at the end. I should have paid attention to their human legs. I need to just put this out there again. I fucking hate Bartleby. I hate that he's just the guy from the other show, but even worse. It's so bad, man. Man, SATAM's a lot more interesting, a lot cooler than this, I think.
This feels like it is trying incredibly hard to be cool, edgy and super dark.
Yeah.
And it falls on its face so hard, it is none of those. It just feels completely flaccid.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this part where Sonia's adoptive mother is roboticized and they see her serving drinks, and again this surgery is horrific cyborg surgery, not just a magic beam. And Sonic and Manic are both like, "No, you know that when someone's roboticized, it's over. They're basically dead. You have to forget them."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first 3 episodes have all this horrible death.
And they just go that. They hold on that for no time. They immediately go to something else because they're like, we can't actually have something that dark in our show. Lighten the mood immediately.
Millions have perished. Oh, she's scared of spiders because she's a girl.
Oh, man, that's so zany.
Oh. Actually, I think it was a mouse, wasn't it?
I think it was a mouse, yeah.
It was a mouse, yeah.
That's so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh. They should have pulled out the card there and been like, "Oh, you're afraid of a mouse. Do you wish you were at a debutante ball right now?"
Yeah, the thought that this releases alongside Sonic Adventure is insane.
Yeah, no, it's completely different.
Stop talking about that.
Sonic,
it makes me
Sega's
nauseous to think about.
No oversight at all over at Sega.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, so here's my theory on this. In 1998, maybe 97, when Peter Moore starts doing the, we asked a bunch of people in the United States of America how they felt about the Sega brand, and they say you're the uncool uncle of gaming. I think this was America's reaction to, oh my God, we need relevance.
Right.
So they greenlit a fucking Sonic show, and God damn it, that's what they got.
No, they didn't, is what I would argue.
Bob, I will sit here and say I think Sonic Underground is more important to the tapestry of Sonic as a larger mythos and an empire, a media attempt, right? Than Prime or Boom.
Oh my God.
I think Sonic Underground existing out there had an indelible mark on anyone who even saw it once.
It's definitely
all 12 of them.
A more interesting wrinkle, but I wouldn't say it's more important in any way.
No, this show was rightfully buried.
Depressingly, I'm like, maybe I should watch more of this.
I do want to watch more of this. This is out of the 4 of these. This is the one I want to do a podcast series.
Yeah,
God, like this show looks worse than Adventures of.
Yes, it looks hideous. It's
so
awful.
ugly. It's animated so badly.
It's ugly. It's scary. It's like a fever dream. It's like you took too much cough medicine and tried to watch a Sonic show, and you're not sure what parts were real and what parts were a dream. It's great.
Yes!
It's riveting in how fucking bizarre and horrifying it is.
We're going to have to divide and conquer, and it's going to have to be two different shows. Bob and Agra are going to go off and review one Sonic series, and me and Chris are going to go off and review Underground.
I hate this show so much.
I'm not even being disingenuous. I was engaged the whole time watching this. Every moment you have like we watched the Knuckles 3-parter, okay? The third part of the Knuckles 3-parter, and they go on Mobius. We're like, oh, they went to Mobius for this episode. Later in the episode, it's clear this is the same planet. I'm like, they were on Mobius,
Right? I mean, that episode even has the Chaos Emeralds. Like, that's the thing from Sonic the Hedgehog. What is it doing here?
What is it doing in this show called Sonic Underground?
Also, the Chaos Emerald, guys, it is tiny. It's minuscule. It's like it's as big as Sonic's finger.
Huh.
It's pretty funny, though. You could tell there were some mild influences of like, oh, Sonic Adventure's out in Japan, and then this is coming out like a few months after that. I think because at the end, and this is in Sonic 3 as well, but at the end of the Sonic on the Knuckles 3-parter, Knuckles gives Sonya a kiss or vice versa, and then he's like, you guys should hang out with me on my island sometime. And they won't call it Angel Island.
No.
But it's just like right over there. It's just a floating island, and it's like, what the fuck were we doing in this lame fucking Canyon Valley? What were you wasting our time here in this bland fucking setting?
Roadrunner? Oh, wait, that's the other one.
That's the other one.
I think actually in the Archie comic for a long time they did not call it Angel Island.
Really?
I think they just referred to it as the floating island.
Sega of America's like, nah, we ain't going with Angel Island.
No, angels. We don't want to be religious.
Well, the Archie comics had all sorts of goofy lore around then anyway. Like the floating island was part of Down Under, the Mobius version of Australia.
Couldn't even tell. Amazing.
Man, disgustingly, I am interested in this horrible show. If it actually had an ending, I would probably be willing to commit to watching all of it, but it does not. So it's kind of like,
Yeah, and I bet a lot of them will be one-offs completely like that Sonya one with the debutante ball.
100%, but we found out she was a great pilot.
Sure did. That was in there. That might even be in another episode. They might find out for the first time again.
They might. It's true. This show has 40 episodes. Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog has 65. Oh. We have to wait years to get 8 episodes of Castlevania Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, what in the world?
What happened?
Yeah. Man, like, at least this show is weird and engaging, unlike Adventures, which is just slowly killing my brain. Like, that's why it goes down to a 1 if I have to watch even one more episode.
Did everyone get out their specific comments about various parts of this before we get to giving it a score?
We mentioned that every episode has a song in it.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
If you haven't seen this show, I need you to understand, after everything we've said, those songs are worse than you think.
Unbelievably worse than
Awful.
you think.
They're not even close to anything.
But one of them is called Society Girl.
Yeah, one of them's called Society Girl. Another one's called the Mobius Stomp.
Oh my God. They're all incredibly bad.
I just started filling my friends' DMs with this shit. I was like, oh, thank God, someone uploaded these musicals to YouTube.
God.
Oh,
God, they're hideous.
They are. God. And they try to edit it like a music video, which is the funniest and cutest thing this show does because...
That's another thing that makes the show feel like it's 10 years too late, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something you see in a 1999 cartoon.
Right.
That's something you see in Scooby-Doo 30 years before this.
I mean, you would see it in a 1999 cartoon like Hey Arnold, but it would look good. Unlike this.
You wouldn't see it every episode.
No.
That's something that makes it feel completely out of time.
Yes. Just close your eyes and go, Sonic Adventure 1. the Sega Dreamcast, SpongeBob SquarePants, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, Sonic Underground. Which one of these doesn't fucking fit?
There's got to be a timeline out there where this show was cool.
Yeah, it's called SATAM. Came out 5 years prior.
I'm convinced someone is trying to make the cool version of this right now. We just don't know where.
DeviantArt. It's on DeviantArt.
Yeah, to make their own comic. They can't get it animated.
We don't go to DeviantArt. It's dark and full of AI.
Well, while looking this up, I found out there was a fan project that made a highly produced comic book that is the ending of Sonic Underground.
Of course.
Hell yes. Now I need to watch all 40 episodes. It's okay. I only have 35 to go.
So, dear listeners, if someday Dan and Chris talk about Sonic Underground, no one else is here, appears in your feed, you know what happened.
This is literally the Red Letter Media bit where it's just like, Mike didn't want to talk about this, so hey, Jay. When are they going to start reviewing Sonic cartoons?
I don't know.
That would be unbelievably
It
funny.
would. I don't think their sensibilities would be ready for it.
Jay Balvin's like, I love Sonic Underground. Anyways, oh no, Sonic OC Jay Balvin. Anyways, we need to review this. Once again, scale of 1 to 10, and this time we will start with Bob.
This show is not as mind-numbing as Adventure, as I said previously. It's just a bizarre thing that's just bad cartooning. Like I've said several times, completely released out of time. Like, it doesn't feel like a product that can exist in 1999, which makes it interesting in a way, but it's still just bad. I'm going to give it a 6. I would say it's twice as good as Adventure, yes.
Chris Wolfhard?
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 6. I thought this was delightful in its hideousness and delusionalness and just awful. It's so compelling in its unpleasantness. I have to give it a 6.
Everything is incorrect.
Dr. Agro.
This series was incompetently made by people who did not understand the themes of the concepts they were working with. I am so glad I didn't see this when it originally aired. This abomination bit off SATAM so hard and yet represents the true death of hope that show's legacy would ever be revived. Fuck this show. 2.
I'm sorry. Sometimes, listener, there's 6 derogatory and 6 complimentary question mark. I'm giving this a 6 as well. I like to think 5 and below is where it's like, I really would not like to watch this any longer.
I need to get this out of me. It's a knife that's stuck in there.
And I hope to forget soon, which is why I buy so much liquor. This show's deeply fascinating. Every moment of it, you're just introduced to a new thing. I am deeply mortified that the 35 other episodes are just absolutely rancid one-hour episodes garbage that are just not fascinating in and of themselves and are even more discombobulated, like not cohesive, incohesive.
Yeah, because like that pilot episode
pilot
thing,
one, yeah.
that felt like oil and water.
It did.
How can it get more like oil and water than that?
What if it was 3 chunks? Oil, water, and some third thing that doesn't mix. That's what I'm worried about, right? That's the one concern. Elsewise, I totally down for watching the entire rest of the show. Which says a lot, because I didn't go back for Sonic Prime Season 2.
Well, yeah, that show was competent but boring.
Yeah,
It's
that's the
not
problem. It was like
wildly hideous and terrifying and riveting to your soul.
But that one did have evil Doc Ock tails. That was pretty cool.
Okay.
That was pretty cool. But it was also garbage. Like, instead of having a musical number that has a music video aesthetic, every episode they have a lame fight that looks terrible and is boring.
I am not going to entertain the notion that Prime was worse than this.
That makes a lot of sense. You gave it a 7. Brian was worse than this.
Fuck you.
It was less interesting, but I feel like if the average person would disagree with your assessment, Darren.
God, I would love to know if that was the case. I wonder what the IMDb average score on this is. Because, IMDb is definitely average.
Yeah, I don't think that's
perfectly
normal.
normal people. No, it's perfectly normal to give an episode of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog an 8 out of 10 because it has racist ninjas in it. That's normal. That's so normal.
I watched one kung fu movie. I'm ready to write this whole episode.
I'm ready to set back relations with Japan and China. Yes.
Yeah, that's how that shit went.
Anyways, this has been part 1 of the Sonic versus Sonic versus Sonic versus Sonic versus Sonic podcast, the Sonic Cartoon War. Join us next time for SATAM and Sonic X. Gentlemen, have any of you watched Sonic X?
No.
No?
I think I caught it once.
I didn't watch it. I'm very excited. Just like I was thrilled to watch this. Who knows? Maybe it too has a musical number every episode.